Hi, this is Laurie Yoon from Duchy Branch. This is the vlog for Eagle C2 class, lesson 13. It's the epilogue, a Jamaican story. So for lesson 11, the original project prompt in the CSLP book asks students to come to an agreement on which of the group members is most likely to become an outlier. This individual will then receive a scholarship from Malcolm Gladwell, and students must present the opportunities and legacies that this outlier has, and the presentation method is free for the students to pick. I saw four main problems with this project prompt. First of all, only choosing one group member to be the person that is most likely to be an outlier is problematic. For one, students might not agree on who the outlier is in their group, and I can see in my middle school classes students being really shy and not wanting to talk about the different advantages and parenting styles and legacies that they perhaps have. Or on the other hand, they might all fight to be the outlier because they want to prove that they are the most successful out of their group. It places limitations on the students, I think, that do not get chosen as the outlier. I don't want to have students being upset or thinking that they won't be successful because they weren't chosen. Secondly, when project guidelines are too vague, I've noticed students not knowing where to start, what type of project they want. It's hard for students to agree even when I give them guidelines. So I definitely need more guidelines. The third issue is that week 13, this is their last lesson of the term. I believe that this project should be a combination of all the lessons that they've learned in Outliers. The final problem that I see, I don't think it really relates to the issues discussed within the epilogue. So I would like for the students to touch on the legacy of privilege that was inherited. I also want the students to discuss how being an interracial child can affect one's success in different ways. And it's up to the individual to either seize those opportunities that they do see or let them pass by. So for the new project idea, I've come up with this. Come to an agreement on which interracial Korean celebrity, be that sports, music, film, or so on, is a good example of an outlier. They have to create a fictional documentary of the celebrity in an interview style or like a biography movie. And they have to provide details about the opportunities, the advantages, the inheritances that the Korean celebrity had. It doesn't have to be 100% factual, but as long as they're trying to make those connections and explaining why that individual might have had that type of legacy or opportunity. The opportunities that they can discuss are having enough time to master a skill, so the 10,000 hour rule, being born at the right time, so demographic luck, one's environment and how that shapes one's path to success, whether or not their parents were more concerted cultivation style or another parenting style, and also touch upon the different cultural legacies, such as the one discussed in the epilogue, cultural privilege, or if they come from a culture that believes in hard work, if they have a simple numbering system or a complicated number system that affects the way that they learn, if they come from a culture that is more individual or collective. As a tip, this new project prompt, I would add a media card in page 10 of the CSLP book where the original project prompt is, so that students don't get confused in case they are unsynced with the teacher tab and they're flipping through the pages. But I would also include the project prompt on their task sheet. I would add, again, another media card on page 11 of the CSLP, which gives them options of presentation method. Now, if I have a group that really would like to do a different style of presentation, I would ask that group to propose to me exactly what their presentation method entails, run through exactly what things they need to accomplish to get that task done. Other tips and changes that I would make. There's a personal project on page 3 of the CSLP book, and it asks the students to kind of brainstorm and discuss the opportunities that the students had. This is all in hopes to figure out who in the group is the potential outlier. Since we're not going to go with that, I've changed it where I added a media card, and I'm going to provide them with a summary of an interracial Korean celebrity. Some popular ones that I've come up with were Daniel Henney, who is a Korean television star. He's Korean and British. In Suni, who is Korean and African American. She made her musical debut in 1978. Ben Henderson, who's Korean African American. He's best known for martial arts skills and WEC, Lightweight Championship. Chu Sung-hoon, who is Korean Japanese, and he was involved in judo and UFC. In this summary, I'm going to include a brief background of that celebrity's parents and what they do, where they come from, where they grew up, so that would have to do with their environment, where they went to school, any achievements they've had academically, which would tie into education, when they grew up, which might link to demographic luck, and what they're currently doing, what their job is, what their status is, success level. I would change the personal project question to having the students analyze the celebrity and figure out what opportunities that celebrity had using this mini biography that I'm going to give to them. It's obviously these articles are not going to be on the media library, so if they do really want more information on this individual, I will maybe allow them to go to, Wikipedia or something like this, but I don't want them searching on a Korean website. I do want it to be in English. Ask for only one student be the research tab, and that way it's easier for me to walk around and monitor what's on the tabs and if they're actually doing what they're doing. But the main resource I want to be the summary that I provide to them. This might sound a little limiting, but at the same time, this is to help them apply the concepts rather than going on a chase for all this information themselves. So I want them to take all this raw data and make inferences about the opportunities and legacies and things like this that the celebrity had. Another tip, or the second personal project, ask the students to discuss the advantages and disadvantages of themselves and their family. Here I would switch it, where I would ask the students how Korean society categorizes people. Who are the economic elite? What types of characteristics and qualities do they share? Would that celebrity fit within the economic elite? And then kind of discuss the obstacles that they might have faced in Korea. For their task sheet, I've separated them into two stages. Stage one, I'd really like the students to work together. And basically, it begins on page 3 of this SLP book with their first personal project. They have to choose a celebrity. Step 2 would be to make inferences about the opportunities and obstacles that the celebrity might have faced. Step 3, to infer about the different cultural legacies that this individual might have had. Now, for stage 2, part 1 would be the intro and conclusion script writing. Part B, we would have to have a script writer. They have to creatively show a discussion or dialogue between the celebrity and the interview person, discussing the legacies, the opportunities, and advantages or obstacles that were faced by this individual. Make sure on that task sheet that you identify that only one student's tablet should have the final video, because we don't want to have multiple cuts of the video on various tabs. That would take too much time sending it to each other. So that's my idea. I hope it works out. I'll check in again at the end of the week and let you know how it went. See you later.